You enter Tokyo Station to catch a train. 2 hours later, you still haven't left, and you haven't been bored for a second. You've had ramen in a basement restaurant that has been perfecting its broth since 1961. You've bought a bento box from a shop that sources every ingredient from a different Japanese prefecture. You've browsed a bookshop with 40,000 titles. You've picked up a department store quality gift, had your shoes shined, collected a package from a locker, withdrawn cash, bought a bottle of aged sake, and watched a jazz quartet perform in the central concourse. You haven't left the station. You haven't needed to. Tokyo Station serves 500,000 passengers per day. It also serves, in a completely separate capacity, as a shopping mall, a restaurant district, a hotel, a cultural venue, an art gallery, a food market, and a city unto itself. The train is almost incidental. This is not unique to Tokyo Station. It is how Japan thinks about what a station is, and it is one of the most distinctive and consequential ideas in the history of urban design. The Japanese relationship between train stations and commercial life has roots stretching back to the earliest days of the railway network. When Japan's railways expanded rapidly in the Meiji and Taisho eras, the late 19th and early 20th centuries, station operators quickly realized something that Western railways largely missed. The station was not just a transit point. It was the highest footfall location in any city or town it served. Millions of people passed through, paused in, and waited in train stations. That human concentration was an economic opportunity of the first order. The ekiben, the station bento box, was one of the earliest and most enduring expressions of this thinking. Since the 1880s, Japanese stations have sold bento boxes specific to their region, freshly made, locally sourced, designed to be eaten on the train. The ekiben became a cultural institution, with enthusiasts traveling specifically to try the famous bento of a particular station. Guides to Japan's best ekiben are published annually. Entire television programs are dedicated to the subject. The ekiben was the seed of something much larger, the understanding that the station was a place where people would buy things, eat things, and spend time, not just pass through. And Japanese railway companies, many of them private enterprises with commercial real estate operations built into their core business model, invested in that understanding with extraordinary ambition. The private railway companies that dominate Tokyo's suburban network, Tokyu, Odakyu, Seibu, Hankyu, and others, are not simply train operators. They are vertically integrated urban development companies that own department stores, supermarkets, hotels, real estate, and retail chains clustered at the stations along their lines. The station is not just where you catch the train, it is the commercial and social center of the community the train creates. The most extraordinary commercial development in Japanese station culture is something that happens below ground, the depachika, the department store basement. Major Japanese stations are typically connected to or directly integrated with large department stores, depato, and the basements of these stores are among the most astonishing retail environments in the world. The depachika is a food hall of a quality and variety that defies easy comparison. Dozens of vendors selling fresh pastries, handmade chocolates, artisan cheeses, seasonal wagashi, traditional Japanese sweets, fresh sushi, high-end bento, premium fruit, specialty teas, imported wines, and regional specialties from every prefecture in Japan. The depachika is not a supermarket. It is closer to a curated marketplace where each vendor has developed a specific product to a level of obsessive quality. The Foshan pastry case sits next to a stand selling only one specific type of yokon, sweet bean jelly, made to a family recipe refined over 3 generations. The premium fruit section? Perfect melons, individually boxed, strawberries arranged by size with the uniformity of jewels, reflects the same aesthetic care as the window displays in the fashion floors above. These food halls are destinations in themselves. The morning rush at a top depachika rivals the platform crowds outside. Office workers detour through on the way home to pick up something for dinner.
Visitors to Tokyo include specific station basement food halls on their itineraries alongside temples and gardens. The commercial logic is clear. A department store connected to a station with 500,000 daily passengers has a captive audience that no standalone retail location can match. The captive audience justifies the investment in quality. The quality attracts people who are not even catching trains, and the station becomes something genuinely different from a transit hub.
Below the Depachika, and sometimes alongside it, is another layer of the Japanese station ecosystem, the restaurant district. Tokyo Station's Ramen Street, a corridor in the basement level housing 8 of Tokyo's most celebrated ramen restaurants, has wait times that regularly exceed an hour. People do not stumble upon it while catching a train. They come specifically for it. The station is the destination, and the ramen is the reason. This is replicated at varying scales across major Japanese stations. Osaka Station has entire restaurant floors, dozens of establishments serving everything from Michelin-starred kaiseki to late-night yakitori, built into the upper levels of the station building. Kyoto Station, a dramatic piece of contemporary architecture that divided the city when it opened in 1997, houses a rooftop garden, a 171-step outdoor staircase, a shopping mall, a hotel, a cinema, and more restaurants than most Japanese towns contain, all within a building whose primary function is handling 190,000 train passengers per day. The economics of station restaurants in Japan reflect a sophisticated understanding of captive market dynamics. A restaurant in a major station pays premium rent, but receives guaranteed foot traffic that no standalone location can match. The result is that many of Japan's most celebrated chefs and restaurant brands who could open anywhere choose station locations, precisely for that access to volume and visibility. The station restaurant district also serves the Japanese working culture in a specific way. For the salaryman working until 9 or 10 p.m. in an office building adjacent to a major station, the station's restaurant floors are the path of least resistance for dinner before the commute home. The station is open, the trains are running, the restaurants are there. The whole ecosystem was, consciously or not, designed for this person. Japanese stations are not purely commercial spaces. They have absorbed cultural functions that, in other cities, would be located in separate, purpose-built venues. Tokyo Station's Marunouchi side, the red brick facade that is one of the most photographed architectural images in Japan, opens onto a plaza that hosts seasonal illuminations, public art installations, and occasional performances. The station building itself, a designated important cultural property, functions simultaneously as transit hub, shopping destination, and heritage landmark. Smaller stations across Japan contain their own cultural layer. Naoshima Island's Miyanora Port Terminal, itself a kind of island gateway station, was designed by Tadeo Ando and functions as much as a gallery as a ferry terminal. Kanazawa Station features a dramatic wooden torii gate structure at its entrance, the Tsuzumi Gate, that has become one of the most recognized architectural images in the Hokuriku region, drawing visitors who come for the architecture as much as for the trains. The underground corridors connecting Tokyo's major stations, Shinjuku, Shibuya, and others, are lined with exhibition spaces, performance areas, and curated retail installations that function as a kind of subterranean gallery and public square simultaneously. Street musicians perform in designated spaces. Art exhibitions rotate through purpose-built display areas. The commuter corridor becomes, incidentally, a cultural venue. This is a distinctly Japanese urban instinct, the recognition that the highest traffic spaces in the city are the highest opportunity spaces for cultural programming, and that culture and commerce in station environments are not in conflict, but mutually reinforcing. People who stop to watch a performance buy things. People who browse an exhibition linger longer. The station that is also a cultural destination holds its visitors more richly and more rewardingly than one that is merely functional.
The final and perhaps most significant reason Japanese stations feel like small cities is structural. In Japan, the station literally is the city center. Japanese urban development, unlike the car-centric suburban sprawl of American cities or the historic core development of European ones, has organized itself almost entirely around rail access. Development follows the train lines. The station is where density concentrates. The neighborhood around the station is where the restaurants, the shops, the offices, the hotels, and the high-rise apartments cluster. Beyond the station catchment area, density drops away. This pattern is most visible in Tokyo's suburban neighborhoods. Each station, on each private railway line, serves as the nucleus of a distinct community, with its own shopping street, its own character, its own ecosystem of local businesses. The station is not on the edge of the neighborhood. It is the neighborhood's center. Japanese urban planners call this ekimai kaihatu, station front development. The idea that the area immediately around a station should be the most intensively developed, most commercially active, and most publicly animated part of any community. Real estate values are understood, priced, and regulated in relation to train access. How many minutes from the station is the first question any Japanese person asks about a home or office. Not because it's a preference, but because proximity to the station is the fundamental measure of urban location. The private railway companies that operate Tokyo's suburban lines have taken this logic to its conclusion. They own or develop the real estate around their stations. They build department stores at their terminal stations. They open hotels at their busiest interchanges. The railway company is not a transit operator with some retail on the side. It is an urban development company that happens to run trains to move customers to its commercial properties. This is why Japanese stations feel like small cities. Because in Japan, that is precisely what they were designed to be.
Why do Japanese train stations feel like small cities? Because Japan decided early, deliberately, and consistently that the station was the most important place in any community it served, and designed everything around that decision. The ekiben that became a cultural institution, the depachika that became a destination in itself, the ramen street with hour-long queues underground, the architecture that doubles as heritage landmark and public art, the private railway companies that built entire communities around their lines, with the station as nucleus. In most countries, a train station is where you go to leave. You arrive, you buy a ticket, you board, you depart. The station is a threshold, a transition space between where you are and where you are going. In Japan, the station is where you arrive. It is a destination. It contains multitudes. It feeds you, entertains you, sells you things you didn't know you needed, and offers you art while you wait for a train that will be on time to the minute. The transit is almost the secondary function. And in a city like Tokyo, where the average resident spends an hour or more on trains every day, where the station is the most consistent, most visited, most relied upon public space in daily life, that ambition to make the station something more than functional is not luxury. It is simply an honest understanding of what the station actually is, the center of everything.